Hmm. I um I want to talk about real culture and how it is inconspicuous. So it's not easily seen. So a lot of people, they grow up in what is called a generation. And a generation is obviously part of generation. It's like the it's like a passage of growth, so to speak. You know, you can imagine a stream of swimming sperm, and they move, you know, uh, down one zig, then to one zag, then to another zig, and those specific zigs and zags are uh, are like generations. Now, most people, most people have a tendency to assume that generation equals culture, but that's not so. Generation does not equal culture. Um, culture, culture is really, when we get right down to it, it's mechanical. It's not. It's not anything metaphysical in the sense that, in the sense of constancy of meaning, right? There's no constant metaphysical definition of culture. Culture is like dress, it's like makeup, it's fashion, it's influence. It's not fixed, metaphysically speaking. Physically speaking, however, culture is mechanical, and it comes down to a series of operational choices, and you know, most of the time choices um, that are decided upon to remain a cog. But anyway, it's not what most people tend to speak of it as, right? Culture is not generation. It's not one's generation. Um, to to example what I mean, think about, you know, your ideas, you know, just off the top of your head, your free impressed um, assumptions about life. And you're going to find that most of those free impressed assumptions are wrong given the passage of time. Um, for example, uh, if I were to just go off what I um, what I assume to believe is culture, then I would assume that, you know, um, people have always been interested in going to zoos, for example, right? For instance, right? People have always been interested in going to zoos or aquariums, right? If I were to just go off of my uh, freely impressed assumption, that's what I would assume. Why? Because um, that's that is, nowadays, um, that at least for the span of my life so far, that has been an abstraction that is easily communicated. In other words, a lot of what we call popular culture, has perpetuated the idea that, you know, zoos are busy places, and that, aquariums are busy places, that they are staples of a civilization. But it's not so. I mean, you know, for example, in 1927, at the Kruger National Park, uh, the visitors amounted to 3 cars. And then fast forward to 1960, same, national park. Um, the visitors were over 140,000 in number. And so when I don't immediately default to my free impressed assumptions, um, when I actually do some research, I get a different picture of what culture is. Culture is mechanical, for all that is relevant about it, for all that is of import, it's mechanical. The metaphysical notions of culture, the labeling of generation as culture is stupid. It's not. It's not real. It's just like a comfortable child's blankie. You put it on you, and then you're wrapped neatly in all these abstractions that you don't even think of as abstractions. All these notions that nullify the complexity of the world around you, that in reality, make you stupider, and dumb you down to seeing what's right in front of your eyes, from recognizing the pitfalls in the character of other people, in the um, condition of your external environment, in the danger of the various events that occur around you and that impact you. Um, so basically, culture is mechanical, and when you actually realize that, then you can begin to break it apart. What I mean by that is you can begin to see where the like father, like son comes into play, like mother, like daughter, where the trap of destiny or fate, as you would refer to it, comes into active conditionality. So it conditions you and others, those around you. you begin to see what leads to a person evolving versus devolving. You begin to see all this once you recognize what culture really is, and that it's mechanical, and that you're part of a pattern that is completely within your detached control, that is completely within your um, objective control, but whilst detached and whilst still subjective, is in polarity to your ability to control. You begin to see this. You, if you want to hold your free will or hold your will free, you have to move away from assumptions that your generation is your culture, that the world is something that you know, and you have to look at it, at all of it, for what it is, which is unknown territory that can be a confusing thing when you actually look at the world for its proper, for its, I should say, correct um, relation, connection to you. You might find out that the world is really not that related, connected to you at all. You may find out that you're alone. And that is a hard pill to swallow, so to speak. But you are master and commander of your own vessel. So that's the good part. That is the thing to keep in mind, is that once you detach from your false assumptions of culture and you begin to see the patterns, then you can do something with that information, because you are now looking at information. You're not looking at influence. When you're caught in the trap of thinking that culture is your generation, um, caught in the trap of thinking that your free impressed assumptions are real culture, when you're caught in that trap, you are being influenced. So it's like you're being put into fluidity. So you're always spasmodic, up and down, up and down, and up and down, and up and down. And you have no control. You have zero control to change the outcome of your life in a way that you want. You have zero control. What gives you control is when you actually start to examine your assumptions and see them for assumptions, and then you realize the patterns, the actual patterns that are all over the place. That, the mechanical culture, the real culture, when you actually start to see that, you then are bringing yourself into a position of control over all that, over your circumstances. Um, you know, there's a reason why circumstance and circumference start the same way, and that reason is because circumstances goes around and around and around and around in a circle. It's like the serpent eating its own tail. That's circumstance. You don't want that. Nobody in their sound mind wants circumstance. So you have to stop eating your own tail, stop devouring your own shit, and you actually have to become a real snake. And that's the stepping stone, shall we say, to actually becoming your own top chief, so to speak. You know, you actually have to admit you're a snake, and then you start to see, well, this person over here is a snake, that person over there is a snake, the pretty blue eyes over there, that's a snake. You have to look and you see the snake, and it doesn't mean they're bad people, it just means they're people, but they're also snakes. You know what I'm saying? So, and this self-admittance to being this being that has been deluding oneself for such a long, long, long time. This self-admittance, it it cures you of being a prisoner to one, not only your past, but two, um, it cures you from being a prisoner to the present, to the demands and the alien expectations of others. And once you are free from all that nonsense, and it really is nonsense, you know, if it wears on the individual, right? So if it wears down your soul, your spirit, then it's nonsense, because, at least the way I define it, one soul and one spirit is, are the parts of oneself that are not nonsense. You know, it's only when you start letting uh, external stimulation infect you rather than, you know, um, interact with you. When you let it infect you, that you start to muddy the water of your perception enough so that you devolve soul, devolve spirit, and then it becomes, not part of your actual organic entity, but a man-made, woman-made, society-made entity of distrust. But anyway, coming back to the point of this video, you you should educate yourself. Everybody should educate themselves on real culture, which is mechanical. It's something to think about. Have a good day. Peace. Meow.